Hello and welcome to the Thriver. My name is Janae, and I am doing this vlog thing to help share my story and hopefully help serve someone who might need it. So, um, the reason that I titled this The Thriver is because I have experienced so much in my life, more than one person should have to. And I've overcome them. But it was a big process. It was a scaffolding process. And I want to talk about the nature of that. So I know that there's a lot of people out there who are in this huge state of suffering, and I've been there for far too long. And I managed to get myself out of it. And how I did that was by consistently choosing a little bit better of a choice in each moment that I could. Some moments you can't do that, and that's okay. But there are other moments where you look at yourself and you say, I don't want to do this anymore. And on some level, it could be subconscious. It was for me for a long time. I didn't realize how much I was actually wanting to live. There was a long period of my life where I didn't want to live. Um, there, that was a very large chunk of my life, and it hasn't been until recent years that I've actually learned how to love myself. And that's a beautiful journey. And I really hope that some of you are able to anchor into that for yourself at some point or experience that. Just keep going until that shift happens. And it's a gradual shift, it happens over time. But again, it comes down to doing that extra little bit, making that extra choice to say, I'm not going to curl up in my bed and cry today. I'm not going to isolate inside today. I'm going to go out today. I'm going to go for a little bit of a walk in the park or walk around the grocery store or just around the block. You know, it little choices like that over time will build up, and then you have a whole new platform, and then you make better choices, and then those choices allow you to make better choices and bigger better choices. But you have to stay consistent with yourself. I want to say I love you, and I'm so glad that you're here. um some of you may know that my late husband passed away of his own volition May 1st. Um, Now, that is not something that was unexpected. He spoke about it very openly and from day one with me, but it's not something that I was afraid of because I had experienced it myself. So it was something that I understood. And he never really gave a plan, he never gave an inkling of a plan. Um, but in the end of his life, he was sick. He was physically sick. He tried to hang on as long as he could. And he was very happy the last couple of years and actually would say things like, I hope I get to have 10 more years with you. I would love that. But I have a feeling that it's not going to be too much longer. And his body degraded. I don't know if that was a belief that he had, that it just manifested in physical form. We don't know. We also don't know what it was that made him sick either. He didn't want any medical intervention. He didn't want to be poked and prodded and deal with the stress of that. So I was expecting him to go in his sleep, honestly, because he had stopped talking about ending his life. And so it wasn't until, he told me, I don't think I've got another day in me. And I said, okay, well, what do you want to do? And he said, I just want to do a podcast, lay down, and we'll see what happens. And I said, okay. And when I woke up, he wasn't home. He had driven out to the Rio Grande Gorge Bridge and jumped from the bridge. And then I came back, and the next day or so, I saw that um, he had created a podcast and actually published the podcast. So um, that podcast is up because that's what he wanted. So a lot of people may not like me for that decision, but you're not me, and that's okay. But it's important to know that when he left from a place of joy, actually. And not many people really can understand that. But if you actually listen to his podcast episode, which is essentially his real letter, um, it's up there. It's up there, available for anybody to see. It's his podcast is Gagoghs, Gagoghs, and you can find it on Libsyn. That's the source. That's the streaming source of it. You can also visit his website where it's up on the top, I believe. Where I think I may have listed it under podcasts, so it's in the menu. And the website is gagoghs.com. And it's pronounced Gagoghs. That's his artist tag, his artist alias. So the reason I'm speaking about this is because it is a journey into self-love, and some of us don't make it. And that's okay. My husband loved himself, and he taught me how to love myself better. And I'm so grateful for that because it's teaching me more consistently. The decisions that I'm making now are light years beyond that which I could have made back in the day when I was just like, I can't even get out of bed. I can't even get out of bed to get myself a glass of water. Um, it was that bad. And so I've been there, and I hope to help support those who are in that position, to let you know that it's okay that you're in this space and that it doesn't have to be forever. It's a process, and it's going to take time. It's going to take time, and it's going to be a difficult ride. But to step into a space where you actually get to meet yourself and see the beauty of who you are, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. So, I'm a singer, and my I was classically trained singer. I was supposed to be a music teacher and realized very quickly that wasn't actually supposed to be my path. I tend to ask questions to try and make things more efficient than they are. And administrators don't like that. So I'm a damn good teacher, though. So Spirit took me on a totally different route, and here I am. doing something. I'm doing quite a lot actually. But I was a dear friend took me to visit the Dewan Light Sanctuary in New Mexico. It's just outside of Las Vegas, New Mexico. And I'd heard of it a few times here and there, but I didn't know what I was looking for. And so I went with this beautiful friend of mine, and wow, was I blown away by the acoustic space. I mean, I've been in some incredible acoustic spaces. Loretta Chapel is one in Santa Fe. I did a recital there when I first moved here as a birthday present to myself. Because I'd gone through quite a hellish few years. So that was me gifting something to myself that was a beautiful experience. So I've been in quite a number of acoustic spaces, but nothing like this space. I mean, you meet the essence of yourself when you sing in this space. And I've had people come up to me and tell me how beautiful my voice was, and uh initially I didn't believe it, because of where I had been, where I'd come from. But I kept getting those responses and I didn't know what to do with that. Like, okay, well, I mean, I don't do well um being told what to do a lot of the time. So it was something that I had not experienced, and it wasn't until I entered the space and I actually sang in it that I met my voice for the first time. And I sobbed. My my friend just sat and held space for me, and it was absolutely beautiful. And I just sobbed. I just couldn't believe that I kept showing up for myself in ways that I didn't think possible consistently. And I just kept doing it. I just kept showing up in some shape or form. I, when I was having to take medication because of the depression that I was experiencing. Um, if I'm, and some people may realize this, but if you miss a dosage of antidepressants, you know. You know, and everyone around you knows. And so there was this, it was like the first or second time that I'd missed a dosage, and the depression hit me hard. And I went, wow, this is actually beautiful. So for the first time, I had seen my depression as something that was beautiful. And I had asked my partner at the time to take photographs of me, and he did. And they were some beautiful photographs. I would show them, but he and I do not communicate for good reason. Um, and I don't wish to violate his right. Um, as the photographer for me to share those pictures. But um and I also, yeah, I'm not gonna go there. But the beauty of that, to see those images in that impactful way, to see myself reflected in those images in a depressed state, I got to see how beautiful it actually was, the beautiful nature of being human. And I still fight with that occasionally. Sometimes, that old stuff will rear up and bite me and try to take me back down. But I've come so far now that it gets so much easier for me to jump out of it, even when it's absolutely devastating. Um, and it can be absolutely devastating. Because sometimes it's okay, it's devastating for this moment. And then the very next moment, I'm like, oh, I found an anchor, that bridge to get me back to the essence of me, which is love. And that's a beautiful thing. I've learned that my vulnerability is a strength and not a weakness. I've learned how to turn it into a strength and not a weakness. So it's a way, I hope, that will resonate with some people and give some extra support in some capacity. So I'm not sure what spirit has in store for me. I'm just acting and taking action in this inspiration and seeing where it takes me. I'm playing with it. It feels pretty nice to actually just play with life again. Um, I don't even know if I ever did actually play with life. I think it was just me trying to survive. Um, and there are moments where I would play with the present state, but not playing with life, playing with action and focused action. Before, it was the focused action that I took was coming from a place of this underlying need to go, 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 because we're reared in America, we're reared to hustle. We have hustle culture that is deeply ingrained in who we are. And so we identify with that. And it's very difficult to break free from. I'm still in the process of breaking free from that, but it that's where it came from, was just, I gotta do this because that's my anchor, that was my structure, that was what helped me to survive through some of the darkest parts of my life. And I'm very grateful for that. But it's not needed for me anymore. So where I'm at now is figuring out how to play with it, to recognize that the decisions that I make, the actions that I take, putting it out there is going to help fuel and reveal the organic pathway that I'm here to take. Placing an assignment on it, or assigning some sort of belief or projection of envisioning what it should be, or coming up with, okay, this is the outcome that I want, and then reverse engineering, because I was taught as a teacher. So I went to school for music education. So I was taught how to be a teacher. And teachers are trained in understanding an outcome. So you go, okay, I want this student to know this. So how do we reverse engineer to go back? And we have to scaffold. That's the term, scaffold. So we take them where they're at. We have to assess them, test them, figure out where their cognitive understanding of where they're at is. And then we go, okay, this is where they're at. This is where we want them to be. This is the end goal. And we may not reach that, but what we can do is give them stepping stones along the way to help them just jump up the next steps to reach whatever that outcome is for them. And not everybody grows at the same pace. That's another thing we have to keep in consideration, is that not everybody has the same pace of growth, the same pace of cognitive processing, right? And that goes for our relationships as well. So for me, taking these actions without having a set outcome in mind. I mean, I do to an extent. There's this mission that I've had since I was a child, for me to be here and do, and I'm hoping that I can get to that, but I don't know the steps that I need to take. So what am I doing? I'm just going to take steps that are feeling in alignment with me. Does this feel correct? Yes. Okay, I'm going to act on this. Does this feel so and that intuitive nature, the intuition that I am basing my decisions off of, that took so much refinement over the course of my growth to get me to this point. So hopefully I can take what I've learned and help create some sort of a system to bring that to the forefront and help people, because a lot of the tools that are out there in the world right now, spiritual tools, whatever, they're just very much like, well, this is what it is, and you have to get there. But they're not showing the way of how to get there. Whereas a lot of others, and I have a great dear friend. She's a beautiful, beautiful soul, and she is very much in the throes of her own suffering. And she's choosing that, and she's actively aware that she's choosing that. So it's a beautiful thing to just kind of observe, and to see that choice. But I've placed things in front of her that I've thought would be helpful for her, and she's not ready to take those steps. So we can absolutely give the people that we love around us the tools that they need to take those next steps. But we can't force them to take those steps, right? Nobody can make the change but you. I'm going to say that again. Nobody can make the choice to act except for you. There were times that I didn't make those choices. 100%. I've made a lot of those choices. And I did that because I didn't believe. There was a belief that I had that told me I couldn't. And then there was also that little bit of addiction to feeling my own pain. But that addiction, so a lot of people will talk about the addiction of suffering, but they don't quite understand it. Um, the addiction to suffering that a lot of people talk about is really a place of the level of grief that someone has experienced. That's actually the body not being able to let go of it because it needs to actually feel it. So there are ways in which to go about feeling it, but then there's also a level of resistance to feeling it. So it's this really complex little ball of twine, and I have a performance art piece around that, around this idea of the entanglement that occurs with trauma. So in this ball of twine, we have the trauma we've experienced. We have the abuses, all all of it, neglect, even all of it. Then we have the feelings that are associated with it. And those feelings can be very complex, and they can be actually influenced by other traumas that we've had. So the feelings may come with a bunch of other different feelings, and we may not be able to fully understand it. But because it's this tightly packed, very dense ball of feelings, can become so overwhelming for us, we don't even know where to begin. So there's this resistance that we have that's saying, no, 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 I can't look at that because I'm not ready to look at it. I don't have the tools yet to be able to unpack this. Because if I try and I don't know the tools that I need, I'm just going to have just this mess of tangled threads all over the place, and I won't know where to start. And I can't deal with that. It's a lot neater in this tightly dense package, right? Now, I discovered some tools along the way for myself, but I also realized this is far bigger than me and I really do need some professional help. So I ended up going to a therapist, and I've had a few therapists over the years. And the first one that I went to, I discovered cognitive behavioral therapy. Now, cognitive behavioral therapy helped me to get a hold of the way in which I was behaving, because I could understand the reason behind the behaviors. Because the behaviors, the actions that I was taking came from this place of, I have an irrational thought. I need to act to protect myself because of this irrational thought. So, my therapist, who is just a graduate student, actually, she was very wonderful. She took this, she went, okay, we need to trace this irrational thought. So she went, okay, what's this irrational thought? And I went, blah, 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 blah. We wrote it down on this whiteboard. She had a smaller whiteboard. And so we wrote down that idea, that irrational thought, and then she said, "Okay, what was the thought before this thought? Immediately before that thought." And then we just traced back, and we went so deep. She had to get another whiteboard. So she went out, got another big whiteboard, and then at the end of it, after we had traced this one singular irrational thought that caused me to behave in some horrific ways, we mapped it all out, and I looked at it, and we found the core belief. So if you know, if you've seen Inside Out, there's these core beliefs, and this is essentially cognitive behavioral therapy wrapped up in an animation. It's so, so good. I sobbed when I saw that. I went, wow, what a beautiful representation. We need more of this. We need more of this in our media. So in art, in media, we need more of this. So I found that core belief, right? And I looked at that. I looked at the map that was before me, and it was so deeply entwined, but to have it unraveled so nicely like that with someone as my guide, it I couldn't believe that all of these trains of thoughts, because there were so many of them, all these trains of thoughts occurred within my brain in a matter of 2 seconds. 2 seconds. That's all it was. The impact of seeing that and the potential of my brain power and how much energy my brain was putting into the belief systems from my trauma, it floored me. I remember sitting back, I saw this map, and I went, wow, if my brain can spend this much energy trying to protect itself and focusing on protecting itself because of all the trauma that I've endured, what can my brain do if I free myself from this? So I saw my potential. I actually saw my potential for the first time. And I went, whoa, I need to do this work. I really do. I need to do this work. And I'm not going to stop until I reach my potential, whatever that is. So, sorry. I'm house sitting for a friend and she has a cat. I need to take a little bit. Oh, gosh, I'm going to need to pause for a moment. Okay, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Quite literally. I mean, my allergies are gonna get worse before it gets better, but I just took my medicine. So my apologies for the sniffles, but I do need to get this out. So the the realization of that was so profound. Um, and I still anchor to that sometimes because it really does serve serve me to see where I came from and then to see what I have accomplished since then. It's incredible. It's incredible. Um, Goodness gracious. I'm allergic to cats and I'm house sitting for a friend. I love cats too, so I'm doing this to myself. Um I just can't stop loving these little fur babies. They're so sweet. So, I want if you are someone who is in a deep state of depression, who doesn't know their way out, I just want you to think about for just a moment. Just think about the fact that your brain has the capacity to put so much effort into keeping you in that state because it's trying to protect you from whatever has occurred, whatever has happened to you. It's trying to protect you. And that is self-love, actually. So your body's trying to love you in the best way it knows how because it didn't know anything. It wasn't taught how to love itself. So it's still trying to. It's just having a hard time doing it. So give yourself some grace. Give yourself a pat on the back and just say, "Hey, it's pretty incredible that you're still here, that you're here watching this right now." And if you can't say it to yourself, I'm going to say it for you. I love you. I love you. And I'm so very glad that you're here. And we need your brain. We need your brain. So do what you can. Find a therapist. And if the therapist isn't aligning with you, if it's not resonating with you, whatever that means, if it doesn't feel right, find a different therapist. Audition therapists. That's a part of this. And if you can't afford a therapist, okay, journal. Find somebody that you can trust to help process things with if they're willing to. If they're willing to show up for you in that way. But it has to come from a place of actually doing the work and not coming from a place of, I need you to hold space because I need somebody to love me. And if it is that, that's okay. It's part of that lesson. It's part of that scaffolding process. And there's going to be consequences to that, but it will help along the way. We have beautiful people that come into our lives to help us navigate here and there. Take advantage of it when you can. Don't take it for granted either. Show your appreciation for the people that are showing up for you. That is so important. So important. So, this is the first video. I technically, there was a different video that was my first video, but that's going to be probably the second video. At this stage, I can't post links to things, so unfortunately in the description I can't post a link to my poetry, for example. So if you look up my name in Amazon, you can find my poetry. And my name is Janae Morgan Mallon. Janay with an accent on the Y. I usually use an apostrophe. So Janay apostrophe Morgan, Morgan, Mallon, Mallon. And you can find books of poetry. So since my husband passed May 1st, I had to vacate the house, so there was a lot of work that I had to do. And but I was told by spirit, um, if you can believe that, I was actually agnostic, atheist agnostic for much of my life. And along this path, actually discovered spirit. But spirit told me to write, and so I did. And um, in the process, I just went, okay, I'm going to be writing and publishing once a month, and that is something that I'm going to hold myself to. So every month, I am going to be publishing something. Right now, they are chapbooks, and my most recent one was on the 10th of March, and that one is titled Relinquished Grips. So that is a collection of poetry. It's a little chapbook, a collection of poetry, and I also included a short story that I had been working on for quite some time, and I'm actually pretty proud of it. So, if you're interested in seeing some of my poetry that's, exploring grief and the processing of grief, what that looks like, purchase it if you want. You don't have to, but if you want, try it. Grief has many forms, and Lord knows I've experienced a great amount of grief. And so I got to really understand the nature of it after my husband passed, and really examine what the human body experiences through the grief. And our understanding of grief, even even on in mental health professionals, they're only seeing it from this perspective that's very limited. And so I ended up examining grief from a different perspective. And I think my insights are pretty accurate. Um, so I hope to write more about the nature of grief in general, and maybe release a little extra snippet to help my fellow family members out there in the world. Thank you if you've hung around, thank you. Thank you so much. And if you want more content like this, or if you want me to address or talk about a certain topic, feel free to comment what you want to hear about next. I would love to fulfill what is needed out there and give a different perspective than we may have been receiving from the world, that might not completely resonate with us because of where we're at and whatnot. So, if you want to subscribe. I'm not a big fan of this whole subscribe culture sort of deal, but it's what we have. So, subscribe. I hear it helps. I know it helps for visibility and whatnot, but at the moment, I am WWOOFing. So WWOOFing is the worldwide organization for organic farming. When I'm done here, I'll be heading to a host down in Santa Fe, where I'll be working on a farm through the spring and into the summer month. So we'll see what kind of new things I'll learn in that environment. And I also do teach voice. I can teach voice. It is something that I have the ability to do, but I think I want to take a different route or a different approach with the voice. So for the time being, I have a student who's made an inquiry, and if anybody is interested in working with me, I want to work on developing a workshop. I'm in the process of developing a workshop where we practice using the voice. So, taking action in these small steps that I was talking about earlier in this video. If we can just take small actions in even just using our voice and feeling what that feels like to take action with our body in that way, there's some power there. So, to do that in a way that's very gentle and freeing and no pressure, I want to create a workshop around that. So if anyone's interested in that, comment down below. Feel free to share if that's something that you're interested in, and I will try to find a way to find a venue where this can go down. If anybody is in the Santa Fe area and have caught wind of this video, um, and you have a space where you would like to see a workshop like that from somebody who's as unique as and weird as me, um, reach out. Reach out. Thank you so much for being here. I love you very much. And let's do this. Let's do this together.